Hello and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 389. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, and this podcast just got a whole lot more American, alongside Matt P Video.
Howdy, y'all. No, that's too far south. What do they say?
Wait.
I'm walking here.
I'm
walking here.
For those who are
I
not
hate
watching
that.
the
I hate
video,
that so
for those who
much.
are not watching the video, Matt is in a hotel room. It could easily have been made for shooting pornography. And
It's one of those. It looks like a fake backdrop,
It
doesn't it? That you
looks
put in
absolutely
Google Hangouts
fake.
or something. But
can
hey,
you go lay on the bed for us?
yeah, sure. Hold on.
I want to
No,
see you.
no. Then we're gonna lose ad rev, aren't we?
No. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Let's just go get on that. There we go. It's real. It's
You
real.
have to see
You
that
can
it was
see.
real. I was expecting
It's
Matt
real.
to just fall through.
Fall through the green screen.
Yeah. I made the bed for this shot, and then I've just ruined it.
It's
So you
fine.
can enjoy that, everybody.
It's
It's
fine.
for the content.
So
the
Matt's in
content.
New York. He's gone to see Crash without me, and I'm kind of upset.
That's the reason he came to New York specifically, was to see me.
I owe Crash a pizza. That's the
True.
only reason I'm here.
True.
That's
And
that
of course,
expensive pizza.
the one and only Two Fresh Crash. Crash, how are you?
I'm doing good. You
Good.
know, can't complain.
Can we get a new saying this year? Can we get like a... I'm doing great. I don't want good anymore. I want
That's a rough one.
Yeah, that's a big change for you. I know it's a big change. It's
I like consistently. I like things being the same.
Yeah,
Once
you're
I
right.
say it's great, that's
Throws
gonna
you
be
off.
it's great for the rest of the year. I want you to know that. If
Ah,
I
we'll
make
be
that
waiting.
change.
We'll be waiting.
Okay.
Boys, today is the day we discuss Game of the Year, our top 10 list of 2022, and of course my Xbox and me's Game of the Year. We got some questions that have been thrown in with this. Thank you very much to Original Cookie Man. So I'll be sprinkling them in as much as I possibly can. But yeah, no topic of the show, none of that. Obviously, this is My Xbox and Me, our weekly Xbox podcast. Maybe you can support it over on patreon.com/mcfixer. I'm still figuring out the name change and some of the branding changes and things like that. So it will happen probably at the end of the month. So stick with us there. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/My Xbox and Me. Again, Matt's away. I'm just getting back into the swing of things. We're back. We're doing our thing. We'll be in full force real soon. Shout out to Patreon producers Aaron Guard, FNH Paul for supporting the My Xbox and Me crew as per usual. They did throughout the entirety of 2022, and it's good to see they're with us through 2023 as well. Game of the Year, boys. We are going to do it. We're going to go one by one as we go on, and you know, we're gonna discuss why this game's in our list and things like that. And yeah, man, I've got, like I say, Original Cookie Man gave us some little categories with a little bit of a description of what this category means and what game we can put in there. So we kick it off with, what year is it? The game made all sense of time disappear when playing. Is there one game this year, boys, that has happened with you?
Yeah.
Crash
Elden
it.
Ring.
Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Shock.
That's
I
the
lost-
correct answer.
I lost track of time. Like I'd be like, I'm gonna sit down and play this for like an hour, and then 10 hours later, it's like, oh, maybe it's time to go to bed. It's like 5 a.m. or whatever.
Elden Ring. I assume the same for you, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything Crash has said, and like the thing that kept blowing me away about that game is finding new areas and realizing the scope of that area. Like every time I thought, like, oh, I must be coming towards the climax here. Nope. Here's another massive area that's basically its entire world with its own enemy types, complete different enemy variation, probably 3 or 4 bosses hidden in here somewhere. Like, and it just kept going. And every time you enter one of those areas, it's just so well executed and designed as well. Like, nothing is out of place. Everything is just magnifique.
I'm going to give it to Crisis Core for me. So obviously I played it on the plane and that helped on the way there. No, I didn't play it for the whole 8 hours, I know. But I've put more time into it now, Chris, so you can suck my gigantic black
Okay, wait, I
balls.
just got a question.
What?
Can you say you got lost with the sense of time when you put it down and didn't pick it back up?
Well, I'm going to give you my reason now. So I didn't, again, so it was on the way there to America when I was going to Texas. I mean, I picked it up and I looked up and we were 3 hours to go. And I was like, oh, damn. That's pretty cool. And it was one of those moments. Obviously, I'm playing on the Steam Deck, so I was like, "Wow, this technology we've got to now is pretty cool." Like, wow, playing these type of games on a plane is crazy. But yeah, I think that's the only game I can think of this year that has really done that to me. Obviously, it's been a weird year for me, and we'll get into that throughout the entirety of this episode, I'm sure. But that would be the game that I picked up. I picked up going, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy this. I don't know if this is a me game. And as soon as I got to the first like part of the game where you can do these missions, I was just sitting there doing them the whole time. Like the whole time, just like boom, 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 getting stuck. All right, on to the next one, boom, 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 start getting. And I don't think there's many games that have me do that late anymore. So
Yeah, I will say also like there in the original there was a bunch of parts where they had like text dialogues and it wasn't audio, and with this I'm pretty sure they transitioned all of those into full audio as well.
yep.
So I'm sure that also helped you get into it as well, because I could see the case where it's like a bunch of reading and you're like, I'm out now, I can't.
Absolutely.
This is too much for me.
There's none of that. There's none of that in this game, which I love. Absolutely love. But we'll start with our number 10 game, boys. I'll kick us off. My number 10 is Gotham Knights. Now, a game that... Why is everyone laughing so much?
It's a game, that's it. That's all I'm saying, it's a game.
A game that not many people
is a game.
loved. Not many people
It is a game.
loved. But I enjoyed my time with it. Again, is it even close to Batman Origins? No. Not even 10% of what Batman Origins
I like
is.
that you were comparing it to the worst Batman game first, before it even gets to compare to anything else.
Sure. But nonetheless, it was a game that I had fun with. I'm annoyed that I didn't finish it, and I haven't finished it. But I played more than enough for it to be on this list here. I enjoyed my time playing it with Matt. Matt didn't enjoy his time playing it with me as much because he just couldn't get over how much he hated the game.
I was going to say, not your fault.
No. No. But yeah, me personally, I liked it enough for it to make my top 10. There's some big misses that I missed this year, though. When it comes to games I should have played that would be above this, 100%. If I had played them in time, they would have been on this list, but I just didn't have time. So, number 10 for me is Gotham Knights.
I'm quite excited because I think we're going to have very different lists this year.
Yeah.
All three of us.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
We'll
I think
see.
we all played very different games this year.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of like must play games this year. Like there were a lot of really good games that people should play, but I don't think there was like demanding games that would end up being simultaneously in multiple people's game of the year lists this year, I think.
Agreed. Apart from one. I think there's one.
Yeah.
One that's very obvious. Matt, we'll go to you. What was your 10th game this year?
Yeah, so the way we talked about this is these are like very personal lists, right? And so like for me, number 10, I put in Escape Academy, which is a co-op split screen escape room game that came to Game Pass early in the year. Me and my fiance Emma played that and absolutely loved it. We love escape rooms and stuff like that. And she's a bit of a gamer anyway, and so like it was just brilliant. Like the story, meh. The way they deliver the narrative, meh. But just really well thought out, cool puzzles that you can do with a partner, and it's great fun.
Fair enough. Crash, number 10?
Cult of the Lamb is
Ooh.
going to come out number 10. Number 10 was actually a really hard one for me because I had a lot of games that like perfectly fit that number 10 spot where it's like I really liked it, but there was stuff that kept it from being higher on the list. But it was really fun. I liked the roguelike element. I liked the settlement building element and recruiting these people to your cult and stuff like that. It all worked out really well. I just feel like some of the mechanics worked really well early on, more so in terms of the combat, and then later and deeper you get into the game, they sort of start hitting less and less, which is the unfortunate part. But still, nonetheless, regardless of that, it is a very, very fun game.
Just so everyone knows, the game has to have come out on Xbox this year. Remakes are fine, stuff like that. This is not me prefacing anything I'm about to say, don't worry.
Okay.
But I just want to let the audience know they're Xbox only
Warning.
games. We're not going to be talking about God of War this week. Maybe we'll do that on a separate episode or whatever. But no God of War, no Horizon, no Mario Sparks. So none of those games will be on these lists. Number 9 for me, I've put Tales from the Borderlands. Good game.
Okay.
Good game. I enjoyed it. It never hit those marks that the first game hit for me in terms of its humor to that level. and I thought it was a bold move to go the way they did with the characters in terms of not using the old cast. But it's still a good game. I'm glad the game exists. I think I like these games. I like it when games in a world that is known for something does something different and does something else. Like I've always said about Gears of War, I'd love Gears of War to be a third-person action game instead of being a cover-based shooter or going from a first-person Gears of War game. Not that it would in the same world is what I'm trying to say here, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what New Tales from the Borderlands is. It gives you more Borderlands, it gives you more of that world, it gives you more of that humor. And it does some unique things in expanding upon these walk-in simulator point-and-click games, you know? We've got skins, the money system in there as well. Again, it's fun. There's a cast of characters there that are good to know and fun to get to know. But yeah, I enjoyed my time with it, and I'm happy I played it. So number 9 is Tales from the Borderlands. Matt?
My number 9. My laptop just went to sleep, and
Nice.
I can't remember it on my own. That's how clever I am. My number 9 is Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Oh.
A game that kind of came out of nowhere for me. Like, I know a lot of people are hyped for it. I did not expect to love it as much as I did. I had to play it for work, do some guides, and just fell in love with that game. Like, Animal Crossing, when that hit Switch, didn't capture me the way it captured the zeitgeist. Like, I was playing it and sort of following on. Yeah, exactly. But for some reason, this one hit me so hard. I haven't gone back to try out all the new stuff they've added, and I want to, and I definitely hope I will. But yeah, I loved this when it came out, and couldn't stop talking about it. So yeah, number 9.
Old
If
game's
Haley
old.
was here giving a top 10 list, it would be nothing but
Just-
Disney Dreamlight Valley. Yeah.
Wait right there.
Every
Haley, what was your game of the year this year?
Last year,
No, yeah, last year.
I guess Disney Dreamland.
She says she guesses Disney Dreamland. There you go, people. From the people for the people, the Haley Show. Disney Dreamland. Did she come on the podcast to review it like we asked? No, she refused. But we tried.
Yeah.
Crash, number 9.
My number 9 game, Warhammer 40k Darktide,
Okay.
which was very surprising because the first time I played it, I did not like it, but I played it by myself with randoms or with bots, and it was not a super enjoyable experience. Then I got to play it with some friends, and the experience was a lot better, which makes sense. It's a co-op game, and Fix is making a face, except that Fix never wants to play games with me. So
You never asked me to play games. You never once asked me to play games, and I said no. Ever. Never.
you want to know why? I'm going to tell you why I never asked you to play games. Because if I ever look at Discord, you know what it says? MC Fixer is busy.
All right.
That's
Fine.
fair.
And half the
That's fair.
time, if you ever look at what game Fix is playing, he's on the 5 whatever, which means he's on roleplay right now.
I am putting myself online right now. There you go.
Okay.
Online. No longer
Ask
on
him,
Do
ask
Not
him to play now.
Disturb.
He'll say no.
What was that, Matt?
I said, ask him to play now. He'll say no. He has
All
to.
right,
He's on the
Fix, you want to play
podcast.
some games right now?
I am totally down to postpone this podcast another week. Damn, I didn't expect Warhammer to be on your list. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I really, really enjoyed my time with the game. I think they have a really interesting mix between a looter aspect, which is not really a looter game, and then the wave type of horde game. But they do really interesting where you pick the missions you go on, and they get replaced every 15 or so minutes, and each mission will have here's the main goal, but you can also have secondary goals, and you'll have mini bosses that'll pop out through the mission. It's really fun. I think the different classes are unique enough that when you're playing with people, it's sort of like, okay, this is your job, I'm gonna do this, and it all fits and works really, really well together. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting.
It's one. It's a game that I'm looking forward to getting to, but didn't get to last year. Maybe I should have. Try to make more effort.
There's a running thread here, boys. Number 8. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Oh,
Again, it didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to, but I enjoyed my time playing with Haley. It's one of the few games we played together this year, which was a fun experience. I liked what they tried to do with the mini map and the way they tried to D&Dify, what it is and what it is like to play D&D. I like what they did with the hub worlds as well, and making that like its own thing. It felt cool to go there and be in those spaces. Again, we'll talk about it at the end of the show, I'm sure, or maybe even next week. I still don't think this year was a crazy great year for games. The games that were like, oh my god, must play experiences that like blew me away. But there were enough good to great experiences that I could say it was a solid year. And this definitely falls into the good category for me, where I was like, I had a good time when as much as I played, I had a very good time with it. So yeah, that's why it makes my list at number 8. Matt?
My number 8 is a game that we've already talked about, Cult of the Lamb.
Ah.
I agree with everything Kresh said. And yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed it all the way up until the end. I loved heading back to my village, and like building a toilet was like a massive point of achievement in that game for me. So when people started shitting everywhere, and I didn't have to worry about that anymore. And I just love little things like that. It was like, yeah, cute and fun, and but also challenging. In like a similar sort of way to like a Hades, but like sort of probably more forgiving than a Hades.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just more accessible, I guess, in that form, and just more chill, a more chill version of Hades with a bit of sort of base management. Loved it. Really enjoyed every aspect of it.
So we got another question that's come in. Well, it's not a question, more category, but is Open Mouth Pikachu. This game surprised you. I'm gonna go with Power Wash Simulator. Nah, not a game.
It's a great show.
Not a game I put a lot of time into. I only beat like the first probably 3 or 4 levels. But a game that I could 100%, if I just had time to just be a gamer and play games back in the 360 days, I would have 1000G'd this game. Like, this is one of those type of games that like podcast on, but I still want to game at the same time, and it's fun to play. Power Wash Simulator 100% is that game for me, where every time I played it, I was having a really good time, and I was surprised in just how good it was and how in depth it was. I'm talking water temperatures.
Oh
That smell. I'm talking
The
water
camera
temperatures. I'm talking different nozzles. I'm talking just the sheer depth in which they want you to clean every inch of the garden or whatever area you're in. It surprised me. It opened my Pikachu surprised me. It really did. Correct?
Interesting. Me? The open mouth Pikachu game for me this year is Road 96.
Okay.
Good shout.
I was not expecting to like this game, especially when Fix is like, it's like a walking sim, but it's good. It's all this stuff because I'm not super into those type of games. So I was expecting like to try this and come on the podcast and just bash Fix for liking this game. That's 100% what I wanted. It's what I hoped for. And then I played it. I'm like, oh no, I actually really like this game. It's a really everything they did works, and the replay value and the way they worked that into a game in a very creative way, I think was just super, super solid.
I love that game so much. That game holds such a special place in my heart for some reason. It's such a good story, and the way they change walking sims, like that's how I would like a walking sim to go more episodically, but the story carries on. It feels familiar, but it's not. It's really, really, really good. Matt, open my Pikachu.
Open Mouth Pikachu. Well, Crash, have you given your number 8 pick yet?
I have not.
Okay. Well, my Open Mouth Pikachu is my number 7 pick, I would say. So I can talk about it then if you want.
I don't think any of us gave our number 8 yet.
Have we not? Mine's Cult of the Lamb.
No, yours should be.
I
no,
definitely
he's
gave my
right.
number
He's
8.
right. He's right. He's right. I've done 3.
Oh, we did number 8.
Yeah.
No, I thought we just did number 9s.
No, we
No,
did
no,
8, 'cause mine's tiny.
So we've done
Crash's
3
8.
games.
Yeah.
We missed Crash's 8. We missed
that's
Crash's
fine.
8.
We'll
You guys
get,
did not
we'll
do
get to
that.
Crash's 8.
Yeah.
Just tell me your game. It don't matter. Just tell me
Okay,
your
okay.
Pikachu.
My Open Mouth Pikachu is Signalis. Signalis, is that even how you say it? I don't even know.
I think so.
But that game... Yeah?
Yeah.
We're going to go with it. It's on Game Pass. You know what it is. It's the old school Resident Evil looking, but like space horror. It's like Resident Evil meets Dead Space.
I'm going to say this. It does not look like Resident Evil.
Old school Resident Evil.
doesn't look like
Well,
old
actually,
school
all
Resident
right, maybe.
I
It
know
does-
it.
like-
There it is.
Gameplay wise, I can understand like people say it's like
It's-
Resident Evil and stuff like
it's
that.
that
Very
vibe.
inspired. Yeah,
that vibe,
but
and it's
when I heard that, it
old
was like, oh,
school.
it's like Resident Evil. I went and looked at the game for the first time, and I was like, that looks nothing like Resident Evil, any iteration I've ever seen or played.
This is
That's
nothing
fine,
like
that's
Resident Evil. Nothing like it.
Okay. My point is, Fix, you would fucking love this game. I promise you would love this game.
I don't think.
And it surprised me. I didn't expect to like it. I heard a couple of rumblings that people would start playing it. It was really, really good. So I thought I'd jump in through xCloud on my phone, playing it with the Razer Kishi, and had a absolute blast. I haven't finished it. It's coming. I will get there. And yeah, it's well worth checking out, especially for you, Fix. But I'd say you both probably really like it.
Old game's old. We're in a new
I
year now.
will not like that game.
Old
I
game's
can tell
old.
you that for sure. Matt.
It
Is it
might
an old
open-
game?
It might open mouth Pikachu surprise you.
Yeah.
Imagine.
You know what? Maybe.
All
It did
right.
for me.
Crash. Number
My
8.
number 8 game. Number 8 game. Need for Speed Unbound.
Wow.
Which
Lower than I thought. Lower
Matt
than I
said was a horrible game.
No,
Honestly,
no, no, no,
like,
no, no, no.
Matt said it was a horrible game.
He did.
This
I did
discussion.
not
He
say
did.
it's a
Looking at my
horrible
list,
game.
there was a lot of games I actually like really enjoyed this year. Some of the stuff released on Xbox only this year, and so they've been out for longer than this year.
Yeah.
It would have been higher if we weren't including those games into this list. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I think the story's a solid enough premise for the game itself. I think the gameplay is really cool. I like the day and night cycle, how in the day the heat you get in the day and the cops chasing you, that'll transition into your night. And if you get caught, you lose all the money you made for that whole day. So I really, really enjoyed that dynamic of it. I also like the visual effects of when you're drifting and stuff like that. I think all of that looks really cool, and it separates it for racing games. And then I'm also really not into racing games, so for a racing game to like hit with me, I think also just signifies how much I enjoyed that game.
Okay. Let's switch it up. Let's go the other way, shall we? Matt. Number 7.
My number 7, surprise, surprise, is Signalis. It's fucking great. Go
Wow.
play it.
Oh my god.
Crash, number 7.
My number 7 is Road 96.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I'm glad that it made your top 10 as well. Because even when you just mentioned it for the game that surprised you, I didn't necessarily think it might make your top 10.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
I forgot that
That's
came out
great.
on Xbox this year, to be honest with you.
Well, that's it. You played it earlier than all of us. And I remember
Yeah.
when you played it at the time saying it was fantastic.
Oh, that game would have been way higher last year. If it was like an Xbox game, it would have been so much higher on my list last year.
Yeah.
Like it could have probably broke the top 3 that I was enjoying. So that would have been cool. So number 7 for me, Rainbow Six Extraction. Nah, obviously full transparency, work for Ubisoft, blah 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 blah. Boring stuff. But Rainbow Six Extraction, a game that actually me and the boys all played together.
Yep.
As a big Rainbow fan, I wasn't sure about it, and we got to play it, and I generally think it was a good expansion to the Rainbow Six world and what it could be. I do think there was a lot of room for improvement, and I did think it was kind of on the short end considering what it was, but the game was made for replayability. It was made for leveling. I've liked the events they've put in so far. I don't think we'll see more, I'll be honest with you. I think that was one of those games where they tried something, it didn't really pay off. They probably made their money back because it did end up launching in Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken. But I had a good time with it being a Rainbow fan. And anything that lets me play in that Rainbow world that isn't competitive, just because I've been out of it for so long. Speaking of, I'm playing that game on Tuesday, so it's going to be fun.
You don't look super
It's gonna
excited.
be fun. No, I love playing Rainbow. You know, I love playing the game.
Yeah.
But it's one of those games that is very much a muscle memory game. So
Yeah.
if you don't play for a really long time, then you come back and play, you can be made to look very stupid in the game. Where Extraction is the opposite of that.
And I was going
Right.
to say, and like a map knowledge game, right? Like,
Yeah.
it is definitely one of those games, like, consistency pays off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 7. Crash?
Yeah. Number 6. We're going to number 6.
No. So, oh no, then it must
I
be
already gave
Matt,
my
right?
7. No, because you flipped the order.
We've all done 7. We've all done
You
7.
flipped the order.
We're on 6.
It wouldn't be an end of the game of the year session without this. To be honest with
Yeah,
you,
true.
Absolutely.
True.
I do try and do this on a very frequent basis. Well, if you're saying that's 6, then might as well bring in another category here, which we have. They had us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. The game had a strong start, but disappointment followed.
Ooh.
I didn't have a very strong candidate for this category. And so what I picked still by the end of it is a good game, but I do think it has a fall off to a degree. And it's a game I already talked about, and that's Cult of the Lamb. I do think the later on you get in the game, the worse that game gets, not by a significant margin, but it's enough that for some people I can see that knocking it quite a bit down. Because I think the first half, when you first get into that game, is so good and so enjoyable, and then the deeper you get in, the more it's really combat side where I feel like the game starts lacking a little bit for me.
Interesting.
So I've got kind of a cop-out answer, to be honest with you. Because it's
Hit us
more,
with it.
the gameplay is absolutely amazing, but what surrounds the gameplay is just not it this year.
I think that's fair. I think a game's more than just
Like, it's not just the story, right? So for me, it's stick with me, but it's NBA 2K23. It might be my favorite basketball game that I've ever played, but it's also my least played basketball game that I've probably ever played as well, because of the way they package the game. It just isn't fun. Like, I'm just not interested in the hub world that they could. My career this year is just so. Yep, go play online. Yep, go play online. We want more VC out of you. That's very much how it feels. Whether that is what it is or not is to be seen. Is yet to be seen. Is yet to be said. Like, I'm sure the hardcores will be able to tell you. But as someone who NBA usually makes my list every year. Because it's just that good a game. It's like a Forza game when it comes out. If you don't make the list, you're stupid. You don't quite understand how hard it is to make games and how interesting and fun these games are. NBA is very similar in terms of like the level improvement that keeps coming in these games. In terms of on the court, amazing. But just the way it's gift wrapped in my career this year was so disappointing for me that I was like, I'm good. I'm not interested in putting 100 hours, 200 hours into this. And that is one of the few games that I used to play, obviously, with roleplay, because it's one of those games that you can very much jump in and out of. This year, I was just like, no, I'm not playing it. I'm not interested. So that's where I'm going to go with that one, personally.
I am going to throw 2 Point Campus into the ring for that. A game that, I think got off to a strong start, and I was like interested to play around with it, and then kind of realized, each of these schools has 3 classrooms, and it feels quite repetitive, and it's more about decorating this school and making sure that people are happy and fed than it is about building interesting, wacky classrooms and cool shit like that. And so, I dropped off of that game, obviously, and it was a game that I was more excited for prior to release, and was hoping that would hook me more than it did.
Fair enough. 6. Matt P.
I don't know who you're pointing at.
Yeah, I ain't got a clue. But I will go number 6, Modern Warfare 2. And I put in brackets campaign, because I don't know if we're splitting up campaign and multiplayer.
We are.
But okay, then it's the Modern Warfare 2 campaign, and the multiplayer is not on my list. Maybe it should be, I don't know. But yeah, I talked about when it came out. I bloody love this game. It's a Michael Bay blockbuster movie in a game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know a lot of people prefer the Modern Warfare 2019 game, which admittedly is not a game that I played all the way through. And so maybe if I had, I'd be slightly more sour on Modern Warfare 2 as sort of the lesser of the two. But I don't have that comparison to make, and therefore, and I just really loved it. So there it is.
Just to add to that, I didn't get around to playing the Call of Duty Modern Warfare campaign.
To be honest with you, I completely forgot that I still needed to play that until this moment when Matt mentioned it.
Yeah, it just didn't get around to it. It's so crazy to me, considering how much I loved 2019's.
For me, I think it was a lot of the people talking about and comparing it to 2019's, where I'm like, if I play it, I don't think it'll end up on my game of the year list, and I think I'd end up being more disappointed by it than anything.
That's one of the few games I do want to still go and play because I feel like they're going to keep building on this Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Sounds like it.
Modern
Yeah.
Warfare world. So I will play it. That's one of the few games I will play. It's only like 5 hours long as well, the campaign, so can definitely be done. But yeah, it's one of them few games where I was like, I felt guilty. I actually felt guilty not beating the campaign, but it was where it was. You know, it was where it was.
I think that sort of investment that you're talking about, where they're going to make this a real franchise and continue this story, is abundantly obvious, like sort of from the way they set this up. And so yeah, I think it's worth checking out if you haven't already.
Crash?
My number 6 is the Destiny 2 Witch Queen expansion, which I thoroughly enjoyed this year. A lot of the stuff they've done with Destiny from reworking subclasses and stuff like that have been really, really good. But the story of the expansion itself, I think, was probably narratively the best Destiny stuff that we've ever seen. And so just seeing that and playing it has gotten me hype again for the future of Destiny, which I was very off the rocker for Destiny for. I don't think I used that term correctly, but I was very off of Destiny for a very long time where I just didn't care about it. This expansion has made me invested into that universe again.
Destiny. Forgot about that game existed. Totally forgot that game existed.
You're not the only
When
one.
remember when they first announced it, and they were like, "We have a 10-year plan for this game," and everybody was like, "What? That's crazy!"
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Technically, they
More than
didn't. We got Destiny 2, which is a different game.
True.
Oh, sure, but I think they talked about it as a franchise, didn't they, when they first
No,
launched
at
Destiny
first
1?
it was
No, it was
like
supposed to be
that first game
expansions.
was meant to be.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Like the way
fair
we
enough.
got World of
They were-
Warcraft. That's kind of how it was
Yeah.
meant to be, right?
You also have to remember they were with Activision for this game, so a bunch of like stuff they had planned and talked about like ended up changing just from the nature of
Sure.
having Activision publish a game. So
Imagine they didn't leave Activision and then Xbox still bought them back again. That would have been hilarious. Maybe they knew this was coming down the line. They were like, we got to get out. We don't want to be on the Xbox again. No way. We out.
I doubt it, but that would be hysterical if op-ed comes out at some
Yeah.
point on why
We
why
knew.
they left Activision.
When the deal goes through, we knew. My number 6 is Call of Duty Warzone 2.0. Though, a game I've not put the amount of hours I put into the original Warzone, I quite enjoy the changes in which they've made. It doesn't feel like a meta-heavy game like it was. Is there still meta? 100%. Every game has meta. But this game very much feels like it isn't as meta-heavy. I enjoy what they've done with the Spec Op mode as well, like the DMZ mode, sorry, I should say. Overall, it's a good experience. It's a fun, cool multiplayer mode that isn't just normal multiplayer that I really enjoy playing. Anytime someone says to me, do you want to jump in and play a game? I'm always down. Always down. And I think that's a good testament to if the game is good to play. You know, if someone's willing, if you're willing to keep a game installed nowadays, I think it's testament to how good a game is. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare, no, Call of Duty Warzone 2, sorry, is just that. It's a very solid battle royale. I still love battle royales. I'm not burnt out on them. Though I didn't put the hours I usually put into them this time, but I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. I'm gonna go with my number 5 because it's going to
we're in the
upset
top 5.
everybody.
We're in the top 5.
Before I do that,
Yes.
let's do emotional damage.
Mm.
This game hit you in the feels. Crash, any game hit you in the feels this year?
Yeah. My number 7 game, Road 96. It is a
Oh.
very emotional game. It is not the story that I expected it to be, but that's part of the reason that I like the game as much as I do. I anything I could talk about, I wouldn't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't played that game. If you have not played Road 96, play it. I think it's still on Game Pass. I'm not sure about that. If it's not, I do think it is probably worth the price of the game. It is a very, very good game.
Oh, it's definitely worth the price of the game. 1,000%.
I'll back that up and say that's my pick as well, because, yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, mine would be As Dusk Falls.
Sure.
There's a few moments in that game that resonated with me on a level that I wasn't expecting them to. And yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. Again, because I'm going to talk about it probably later on. Ooh.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's the game. That's probably the most emotional game I played this year, personally. Number 5.
Yeah.
Elden Ring.
That's some BS.
This is my personal
That is
list.
some BS.
This is my
It's not.
personal list.
This is the I did my homework last minute. I gotta fill out this
Where do you think?
list.
Wait. Where do you think it was gonna fall?
Nowhere.
Oh no,
Well-
it's on the list. It's definitely on the list.
How much
Definitely
of
on
this
the
game did you
list.
play?
Maybe 5-6 hours.
It's not on the list.
It is on the list from the pure perspective, the poor perception of
Poor
How-
perspective. I agree. It's poor decision
pure
making.
perception of how well made the game is. And you got to remember, I played more of this game than I did Demon Souls, than I
Yeah.
did
You didn't-
Dark Souls.
Not more than Sekiro.
than I did. No, I ain't said Sekiro yet, bro. Let me talk.
It's not more than Sekiro.
Jesus Christ. But more than I have done any of these type of games. So for that alone, I have to give it credit where credit is due.
Is Pentiment on this list of yours? No. Is Tunic? No. Okay. Carry on. You can finish your statement.
But I played I played more of this than both of those games. And I can see the gameplay loop being fun here. I just couldn't get on with getting my arse beat. If this game had an easy mode, I'd love this game. Simple as. So you can sit there and judge me for putting it number 5 all you want, Crash, but what I'm saying
I'm not
is,
judging you.
from a pure gameplay point of view, I enjoy the gameplay. So put it this way, if I could just stay in that little open area at the very start of the game, as you go up to the castle, and then you have that moment that you run through, I remember that. Why do I remember that? Because it actually felt good. I remember fighting against the first monster I fought, and being like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. I remember running along the beachfront and fighting against this gigantic, I can't remember if it was a dragon or some sort of looking thing, and being like, well, this is fucking scary. I remember these moments. So for these moments to stick with me must mean it's a good game. Because if it wasn't, I wouldn't care. I don't remember Tunic. I didn't give a fuck about Tunic. Like,
Okay.
no disrespect to Tunic, but like in that way, like I played 2 hours, 3 hours of Tunic and was like, I got to a point in that game where I was playing it because I felt I should play it, not because I wanted to play it. At no moment did I play Elden Ring going, oh yeah, no, I'm playing this because I should play it. I was playing it because I wanted to like the game and I wanted it to be good and I wanted it to click. I wanted it to be the game that just clicked for me in this world and this universe. I wanted to be in with the party of you lot talking about it. And at the end of the day, I couldn't. It was too hard.
Yeah, and it is a shame because I agree with you in the sense that like you saying if it had an easy mode, you'd play it. For me, I think, and I know this accessibility in Souls games conversation is tiresome, but if it had a damage scaler and a health scaler that was set at 100%, but you could bump your health to 150% if you wanted your damage to 150% to make this section easier for you, I don't see how that would negatively impact the game for anybody else, but it would allow you to get through that boss and therefore into the next open world area and therefore into the bit of the game that you enjoy. And yeah, I think it's a real shame that you haven't put more time into it because it's obviously a very, very special game.
100%. And that's why
yeah.
it has. I couldn't make a top 10 list this year and not have it on my list.
Yeah.
It would be disingenuous of me to do that because ultimately, if the experience sits with me, then why would it not be on there?
Sure.
Crash?
I'm glad it's
I
on.
wish I could go back in time and play this clip of you talking to this game to fix like just a year ago.
No, yeah, but
where he
in the
says
same-
I played this game for 6 hours.
But in the same breath,
And
if you
it's
would
in
have
my
played this,
number.
if you would play this podcast right here to fixer of, he would be like, bro, but you didn't be this, you didn't be this, you didn't be this, you didn't be this. Life has changed. I've got older. My career has changed in such a different way. I am playing older games, bro. I beat Far Cry 5 and 6 this year, and all that DLC. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a
So
different.
you're saying Fix can no longer say old game is old?
No, I can definitely still say old game's old, But
I'm just messing with
I'm
you.
gonna go back and play these old games now because I'm missing out on great experiences. So I'm lucky. Like the beginning of this year is pretty empty. Like for me, for stuff that I care about. I think that I was already doing the research and being like, okay, what's the first big game? Because I don't want to have another year like this where I've fallen behind immensely, and it all starts in January. It starts now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, it's like Dead Space. Dead Space is the first big AAA game that's coming out in that window. So like, as soon as that comes out, I need to play it, I need to beat it, I need to move on to the next one. And then after that, we've got Harry Potter coming, and like there's a lot coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think Elden Ring for me, maybe it's a little high on this list, but then I look at these other games, and there's no way any of these other games are better than Elden Ring. Call of Duty Warzone 2 is not better. Rainbow Six Extraction is not better. Tiny Tina not better. Two Tales from the Borderland not better. Gotham Knights certainly not better. Like,
Thank you.
I I have no issue with that statement. I realistically have no issue with it being number 5 in your game. But like that reason on your list, but that reasoning to me is like Tunic's better than Gotham Knights for sure. Even the 2 to 3 hours you put
not
into
to
that
me.
game. Okay.
Not to me, it isn't.
Do you? Is there
This is
any
just
way?
gonna keep going in a circle. This is
I
gonna keep
know,
going
I
in a
know.
circle.
Go on, is there any way
Is
what?
Is there any way you find a co-op partner who's more committed than I am to get you through this thing? To like,
It no longer matters.
old game's old.
If you like this game as much as you said you did, it wouldn't matter.
No. Look, I if in an
We're gonna fall
ideal
out.
world, yes. But then I look at my life now, it's like I look at my life so differently than how I used to, which is like if it was like, okay, Fix, we've got you the Elden Ring Grandmaster, yeah? He's gonna sit down with you every night this week, he's gonna get you through the entire game. No thank you, I'd rather spend time with my partner. That doesn't mean the game isn't good. That doesn't mean the game isn't great. That doesn't mean the game isn't amazing. It just means I should now choose to spend my time differently.
Yeah.
Where
But-
beforehand, bro, we were like game devs in the way we used to crunch for Game of the Year lists. It was like stay awake for like stupid amount of hours. At least back in the day. Been doing this podcast a long time now. Like back in the day, like that's what it used to be. It was like, all right, I need to stay awake for stupid amount of hours. Here's my list. I need to beat every single game. Let me play more of Elden Ring because I could have easily put another 10 hours into Elden Ring. It wouldn't have changed where this game sat on this list. Whether I beat one more boss or 2 more bosses or 3 more bosses, it still would have sat here because ultimately it was still felt like I was getting to a point where I was getting frustrated and annoyed. And that is where where some people love that, and that's the fun in figuring it out. To me, it was a case of I feel like I'm wasting my time, which I wasn't, and it was the game teaching me, but I just didn't have the time for the game to teach me.
Yeah.
But go on, Crash. Go on.
I'm not going to keep this argument going because we're
No,
just going to keep
please,
going in a circle.
please. We got time, please.
But if you dislike that aspect of the game, and that is a vital part of that
Of the game?
wouldn't you say that you dislike the game?
No.
Because you dislike one of the main components of the game?
Yeah. No, I dislike it not because I dislike it in terms of in an ideal world I wouldn't dislike it. I like what the game is doing in terms of it teaching.
If you had no responsibility,
100%.
and you would have put all the time in the world into it, you would have got really good at Elden Ring. You would have beat.
And I would have beaten the game. 100%. You don't think so?
I know so. You would not have. There is 100% no chance you would have. You would
Why?
have gotten to the same part and you would have stopped playing it.
No,
It's
no,
not
I-
a you game. Because you don't enjoy it.
But so what's the difference between this and Demon Souls? Did I not enjoy Demon Souls?
How much time did you put into Demon Souls?
About the same amount of time, about 5-6 hours.
We're just gonna keep going into a circle at
So
this
no,
point.
but you're saying you say I didn't.
You
I
could have
didn't
enjoyed
enjoy
that
it.
6 hours until you hit the wall and then been like, I don't like the wall.
I got
of this
killed by a
game.
boulder in that
and
game and
disliked
quit
it.
that game. Just so you know.
Oh well, there are boulders that'll
Did
kill you in
not.
Elden Ring. So
Did it take you 6 hours to get to the boulder and die? The boulder's pretty early.
Let's move on. Let's move on. No, are you guys on number 5? Or have we done that?
I haven't
we're-
done my number 5.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, number 5.
Number 5, Multiverses.
Good game.
Matt, you forgot Multiverses, huh?
I forgot it off my list. Oh no.
That's rough. That is rough.
No,
well,
you cannot change it, and you are not
I know.
replacing.
I know. Well,
That
it
is
deserves to be
rough.
in there. That's unfortunate.
Multiverse is fantastic brawler game. What they did with the IPs and the characters to put them into the game and make them all into one cohesive game was really, really dope. This game honestly would have ended up higher on my list if the online hasn't gotten worse as time's gone on in that game, where it feels more laggy and stuff doesn't register as often as it did when the game first launched. Otherwise, this game easily probably would have been number 2 on my list. It is a very, very well made game. The animation for certain characters, particularly like Tom and Jerry, is so good. The fact they got voice actors, I'm looking at the Nickelodeon game that had no voice actors. It is very true to all the IPs they borrowed from and put into one cohesive universe.
Honestly,
Yeah, I totally agree.
If you like the game so much, you just play it offline and just play against bots.
Okay, now I want you to correlate this with the argument we were having before. Explain that. Explain how that statement makes sense. No, just explain. No.
It makes no sense. I'm just talking shit.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Matt, number 5.
My number 5 is High on Life.
That's high on the list.
Oh, all right. I really enjoyed High on Life. I mean, we talked about it a long way in the lead up to it. We are always dying for more and more comedy games. And this is, very Squanch games. This is very Rick and Morty. And I love that sort of shit. And so, and then, everything else around it, these sort of first-person shooter elements are good. More than passable. And the more you upgrade and stuff like that, the more options you get, more guns you get. And those guns having a personality, I think, really works really well as well. Like, and that kind of being the conversation thing. It's a little weird that your character doesn't have a voice, but talks to people through his guns, even his own sister. It's strange, but whatever. It's cool. It's funny. It's great.
I will say I jumped back into this game yesterday to give it another shot to see if it ends up on my list, and I enjoyed it significantly more for 2 reasons. One, I wasn't sick. That definitely helps a good amount. And 2, I was playing it on controller. I think this game plays significantly better on controller over mouse and keyboard.
I 100% disagree with that. I started it on controller and was like, this is awful. I need to go back to my computer.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I found like all the movement and stuff like that in this game to play better on controller for me.
Interesting.
Which was very weird because I think for almost every single other FPS, I prefer on mouse and keyboard because they generally play better. But I think the sliding and all those mechanics for me, for whatever reason, just function better on a controller. And once I started like efficiently using the sliding and the dashing and stuff like that, that game did become a lot more appealing. I think what I realized with this game is that I love Rick and Morty humor. I love it in the TV show. I just don't think that for me it translates as well into a video game where I'm sitting at it for multiple hours. I find it difficult to sit down with that game for more than an hour, honestly. But I think that's a very me thing. So I do understand why people love the game as much as they do, because it is very much Rick and Morty through and through.
I do think there's this interesting thing when you try and do humor in a game like that, where like, if you're watching an episode of Rick and Morty, you're stuck there, you're watching the thing. Whereas in this, you can walk away in the middle of a joke, and like characters might have a go at you. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. I was just talking to you, whatever." As they like fade into the background. But because like Rick and Morty, like a lot of the humor is based on characters saying absurd shit and like stumbling over their words and like fucking around. And so like sometimes you just find yourself like, I know I'm going to enjoy the payoff of this joke if I just stand here and wait for it, but I am just going to stand here and wait for it. Like, and that feels weird in a game.
I think that's my issue with a lot of the humor is that when I play a game, I don't think I could do that. I don't know what it is in me, but I'm like, I constantly have to move forward. That sitting there and waiting for that joke to pay off in a game just doesn't feel rewarding for me. And even when I get to the punchline, I'm like, if I saw that in an episode of Rick and Morty, I'd be laughing at it. But the fact that I was playing a game and I had to stop doing everything for the joke just didn't make it hit for me.
I won't say where it is on my list, but it's on my list. It's in my top 4. And that's why it's in my top 4, because of everything you just said you didn't like is the reason I do like it, because it's one of the very few games that makes me go slow down.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
wait
yeah.
a sec. Just wait. Just stand here and listen. It reminds me of nowhere near in the same class as the game I'm about to mention, but it reminds me of GTA or a Rockstar game in general.
Yeah.
Which is, if you want to see what this character's going to say, you're going to stand there for 5 minutes until it says it. Like, we're a living, breathing world, and we are having a conversation with you, and you're role playing this character. You are this character. So, there's a moment very early in the game where there's a character laying down face down, and he's just screaming, and I'm just standing there like, I wonder how long he's going to scream for. And I just stood there and waited, and waited, and waited, and he just kept going and going. And in my head, there's the critic in me that goes, they thought of this. The fact that they actually thought of a character standing there. There's another character, they're at a desk, and they're like, I ain't leaving this chair. Like, whatever happens, I ain't leaving this damn chair. And so I stood there, and I waited, and I waited. I can't name you another game that I would do that in. Because not only is it funny, but it respects my time because it gives me a payoff for standing there. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what has resonated with me so much in High on Life. Its shooting mechanics are fine. They're very much fine. The gun, very humorous. The world is what's kept me in there. Go on.
You made a comparison to GTA, and I think I would agree with that. The difference is GTA gives you an NPC you play as to role play through, and I think when you said that, what like made it click for me is that this game you aren't really playing anybody.
No.
It is a silent protagonist, and I think that's what pulls me out of that sort of experience. Because I think if it was your character interacting with it, because there was another game, and I don't want to mention it because it would be spoiler for what I would mention it, but there was another game where your character actively reacts to that.
Yeah.
A sort of similar gag, not the same thing, but something similar, where in this one it is sort of just the gun, and I don't view myself as the gun, so it doesn't register in the same sort of way.
I think it's their first game type situation where it's like, if they're going to do more of this, it's something they've got to learn. Is like, make the character interact
Not their
with the
first
world
game.
more. Well, sorry.
But the first game's the VR game, right?
Yeah, but they do similar stuff in their VR games. Like Trover Saves the Universe, you're not playing as Trover. You're controlling Trover. He's essentially the gun in High on Life. And he's the one who's talking to everybody in the game. And it's a very similar concept, really. He's the one who interacts with the world for you. And so, like, it's if there was a lesson to be learned there for them, you would have thought they'd learn it. I don't know. It's a choice.
I wonder. There might be slight difference because it's a VR game, so your perception of like being in that world is already deeper because you're already in VR when you play it. Yeah, where you might not necessarily need that. And then I also wonder how many eyes they actually had on that game. I know that was a big game, but it was a big game in VR.
Yeah, no, of course. But I
will. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say I do think that High on Life is like a great first attempt at this sort of game because you can also see it in sort of some of the boss fights where it's like they have a lot of really cool mechanics, but they don't seem fully fleshed out. Where it's like, oh, if they just like change this up a little bit or made it a little bit more interactive and stuff like that, this would have been fantastic. Like the systems they have in place are really cool as standalone stuff. But once they sort of flesh that out with their next game or the next game after that, I think you're going to see a really, really prominent studio come out of them.
Not only that, I love the format of the game. Of the go to this world, take out this boss. Go to this world, take out this boss. It reminds me of a PS2 game in terms of its formula, but it's something I didn't realize that I missed. In terms of like, I know I can sit down and play for an hour, and I'm going to complete a portion of this game.
Yeah, and it feels like
that's an amazing feeling.
It feels like a complete episode, right?
Yes.
There's not many games. I think the last game that I can think of that did something like this would probably be Ratchet and Clank to a degree, where you go to the worlds and you play through the worlds.
Yeah.
And that is Ratchet and Clank still follows a very old school format that we don't really see nowadays of being linear but being open still, because there's a lot of worlds you can go to in High on Life. But they don't throw you into the whole gist of it. It's like, okay, you can go and explore this one map. When you're done with it, cool, you're done with it. Then you can sit back and you'll always have something new to do in a really genuine way where it's not sort of forcing anything on you.
But also as well, the like, okay, so you're done with that world. Oh, but now you've got a new ability and you can go back to that world. And there are going to be ongoing jokes from when you were first there, or decisions you made from when you were first there that have now impacted this place, and that kind of level of the game design, I guess, and the meta jokes that go along with that as well. I think are brilliant, and so deserved place in the top 5 for me.
100%. My next one at number 4 is a game I mentioned, A Dust Fall. Falls, sorry. Again, probably my most emotional game. I love these type of games. I love a good walking sim. This is not a walking sim. This is very much a interactive story, which is, to be honest with you, the biggest plus and minus to the game. Once I got over the art style, it was fine. The only problem with this game was the fact that you don't do much apart from pick selections of like what's going on. I would love for them to have another go at this with a little bit more game inside this game that isn't just an interactive story. I don't know how they'll be able to do that, but it's also the thing I always complain about Telltale games. I always like, give me more. And they did. Towards the end, they started to give more. And then obviously that studio died. And then the same thing for The Quarry and all these games where I'm like, they are starting to get there. They're starting to understand that they can give the player a little bit more to do in these worlds. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. The story is what keeps it alive and it was what keeps it going. And that's why it's number 4 on my list.
I will say in defense of As Dust Falls a little bit, like it is, I don't know how the game was marketed or anything like that, but it is like through and through a visual novel.
Oh, it's marketed
and
like
I
this
think,
as well. It was marketed like that, yeah.
Got it. So I think expecting more from a visual novel is kind of unfair as well. I get the complaint, but I don't think the shoe fits necessarily.
It's like I say, it's not really a complaint. It's more just if they could have given me more, I would have been surprised by it. Which they kind of did with the Twitch mode. I really enjoyed what they did with the play alongside your Twitch channel and the way they build that into the game. Very smart. All of these type of games should have it, especially if it is interactive based, which this game is which is pretty simple. Most votes goes to that decision. It's a fun way to play a game with a audience if you're a streamer. And it's not weird or corny, and they've got the override system that then does if someone wants you to try and kill somebody, let's say, you can override him, but no, that's not what I want to do, so move yourself. But yeah, it's a really good game, and again, I love stories. That's why I play video games. I play games because I like the way they're told, and I like stories, and that's why it's number 4 on my list. Matt?
Number 4? Crash, you done your number 5? Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 4, we've already talked about it. It's been brought up several times already. It's Road 96. I think this probably would have been lower on my list, like more towards 6 or 7 or 8, if I had played it on my own. But playing it with Emma, I think added a different element for this to me. Like making decisions like that is similar to what you were just saying about Dust Falls with your Twitch chat. It just adds that extra element. And like she was like full on terrified of like the taxi driver. And like that element of just having fun with that, being like, oh, I think the next it's gonna be the taxi driver, he's gonna show up, and fucking around like that. It was like really good fun. So yeah, we've already talked about it a lot, so I won't go on for long, but it is a truly phenomenal piece of art and video game.
Okay. Chris, have you done yours?
No, I'm about to do it right now. My number 4 is Deathloop. You forgot Deathloop as well, Matt?
No, it wouldn't have made it. I did forget about it, but it wouldn't have made it for me. But
Okay. This game, I can see why last year it was winning Game of the Years left and right. It is a really unique way of doing the roguelike aspect of you go into a world and you finish a piece of it and then you die and you have to kind of start from the beginning. It is probably the most unique attempt at that sort of mechanic, I think, and to have it in a fully 3D world is really cool. I think the gunplay's fun and enjoyable. I think the story is super enjoyable. I think the way you figure out the big puzzle of like how you're going to kill all 7 of the people, I think it's 7 people, and sort of planning it all out. I think it's such a enjoyable and dope experience that I think is for sure worth playing. In general, I think everybody should give it a try if you have Game Pass.
I think it's the game that I probably most need to give a second shot to, because it feels like it should be a me game. But I just
So much
first time playing
reading,
it, could not
bro.
get on with it.
So much reading.
Yeah, well, that was part of it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much reading. That's the biggest problem with it. Let's do an award, or let's do a category, I guess, which you're breathtaking. This game had beauty to a level that inspired by Keanu. Words. Yeah, echo.
Got you.
I guess most beautiful game, of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, are we talking beauty like graphics, or are we talking beauty like design?
It's interesting
Beauty
because
is in the eye of the beholder, I would say.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I can go if you want.
Please.
I'd give it to Modern Warfare 2. That game fucking blew me away. That game blew the internet away. That Amsterdam level going viral on Twitter and everything else. Absolutely insane. Just absolutely stunning. So yeah, I'd give it to Call of Duty, which is surprising. I wouldn't have thought I'd be giving this to a Call of Duty game if you'd asked me to predict it last year.
That doesn't surprise me too much, I'll be honest.
Mine is Elden Ring. I think there's like a lot of landscapes and settings where you see Elden Ring in the tree where I would just like stop and just like look at it for a second, which I don't find myself doing very often in games. I felt like I did it quite a bit in Elden Ring. I think it's a lot of, I think graphically it's not the best looking game out there by any means, but I think design wise, that game just really, really knocks it out of the park with, you have the whole, underground level bit. The first time I went there, that was absolutely phenomenal visually. Yes. And I think there's a lot of moments like that where you just get these one shots of something. The final boss is one as well, where you just see it and it's like very grand if you get up close to a lot of these things. That is just this really jaw-dropping moment a lot of times.
I'd say that about a lot of the enemy designs actually. Like it's difficult to call them beautiful in like that sense.
Yeah, that's why I was.
yeah. But like the design is stunning, right? It's incredible. Yeah. Like it's so well thought out and fits that world. So yeah, I'd agree.
I'm gonna say Tunic.
Yeah,
it's one of those games that it's very pretty. It's very pretty on the eyes.
Yeah,
the level design is very interesting. While I was traversing it, while I was in the world, I wasn't unhappy about looking at it. Let's be honest. I think for me it was. I think that's why I didn't like the game because of I couldn't figure out some of its puzzles. And I know it probably got better and better and better the further on it went. But yeah, I really enjoyed looking at Tunic. I remember playing. I started there at like 12 o'clock at night one night and was like, oh okay, it's now 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and being like, oh. That was cool. That was a cool experience that I've had. It didn't hit all the way I wanted it to, but from a graphical point of view, I always thought it was quite interesting and fun. So
yeah,
that's why.
That's cool.
Bump. Top 3. Matt, kick us off. Number 3.
In at number 3 is a game I started on Xbox and have now put probably, I don't know, too many hours in on mobile. It's Vampire Survivor. It's fucking brilliant. It's so good. It could have had my award for game where time disappears. Because similar to what you said about playing on the plane on the way out here into Vegas, I was just like, oh shit, okay, we're almost landing. And I've been playing Vampire Survivor the whole time, and now I have 4% battery and I can't get an Uber, and I'm in trouble. But yeah, it's phenomenal.
Okay. Yeah, I don't look at that. Every time I look at that game, I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
It's just a fun experience to just play that game and sit down with it. It's one of those where like it makes no sense when you're looking at it on paper. When you're looking at it graphically, You're like, this game is popular today. It doesn't make sense, and then you sit down and play it. And it's like, oh, I understand why it's people's game of the year and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I didn't make it in mine. I think it's just because I didn't put enough time into it, and didn't. It's one of those where I didn't find myself just naturally wanting to play it. So then, but I for sure understand why it made your top 10.
Yeah, for me, it's like has a shocking amount of depth to it as well. Like you can't spoil it. The amount of characters you unlock like just keeps going and going and going. You get a map and then you're like, oh my god, these aren't like procedural levels. There's a map and items are in the same areas each time, and oh my god, and you start building tactics around it, and then yeah, when you get that satisfaction of just enemies can't even make it onto the screen, I'm so powerful, and it's like, how is my phone running this thing at any frames per second? There's so much going on, but it doesn't matter. I can stand still and nothing will even come close to me. Is a hell of a lot of fun.
Crash?
Number 3, correct?
Yes.
Guilty Gear Strive.
Ah, fine.
Yeah. You thought I would get through a year and not find a fighting game. No, this was up between number 3 and number 2 spot. I'm gonna be honest. It was very, very rough. I ended up putting it at the number 3 spot as opposed to the number 2, simply because it did come out last year, or not even last year. I think it was before last year.
Yeah.
On other
before,
platforms
right?
or something like
yeah.
that.
It was a while before it got to Xbox.
Yeah. So I decided to give the number 2 spot to the game that came out this year. But yeah, I really, really like this game. It's probably the best fighting game I've played in a while. I loved learning this game. I enjoy a lot of the character designs. I think this game cements Arc System probably as one of the top 3 fighting game studios right now. I think it's very, very well designed, and I don't think they've put out a bad game in a while.
Okay. I'll take your word for it, bro. I'll take your word for it. My number 3 is going to be a little game called The Quarry. Again, probably very similar to like you guys. Like, you have those experiences that you play with maybe a significant other or a friend or whatever. This is mine and Haley's. Like, we play these walking sims together. That's what we do. She reads through the notes. I play the game. We make the decisions together, and yeah, it's just one of those fun experiences. The Quarry was, again, separate from, obviously, the Dark Picture anthology, and I haven't played The Devil in Me. I've been waiting, hadn't got around to playing it yet, unfortunately. Though I will at some point, but I just didn't get to it this year, unfortunately. But this felt more of a AAA experience with 2K publishing and maybe a little bit more money behind it and things like that, compared to any of the Dark Picture anthologies, which is obviously published by
Namco.
Nandai Bang. What the hell's the word I'm trying to say?
Bandai Namco.
Bandai Namco. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, it's one of those experiences that I just really enjoyed. I enjoyed the start, I enjoyed the middle, and I enjoyed the end. It left me wanting more, which is always a good thing from a game. Obviously, we won't get the same sort of story because that's not how these games work. But I hope that 2K and Supermassive saw they got the reception that they wanted from it, so we can get more of these type of games from 2K. Because again, that level of budget that they clearly had on this compared to their previous games, it showed. I don't know if it was a time thing as well, but I really enjoyed it. It's one of those experiences that I was like, oh, I might even go back and play this again, because there's certain characters that died. I pretty much played it where characters died, and I was like, no! But they added like a rewind feature, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it, because I play these games every year. Like, I always play The Quarry. I always play
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn. I always play the other one. Damn, I can't think of it now. It doesn't matter. I always play these Supermassive games every year. They've kind of replaced Resident Evil for me in a way, which is weird. Where I play these games now instead of going and playing Resident Evil every single year on year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it again this year, especially when it comes around to probably about Halloween or that type of year, where I'll do like a whole month of Halloween games, and I'm sure I'll get to play it again and be like, oh, this is what I missed. This, and this. And that's always fun. So yeah. Number 3 is The Quarry. I'll do my number 2 because I haven't got much more to say on it, but it is High on Life is number 2 for me. It's a shame this game come out so late in the year. It really is, because December's never a great month to release a game. And I still stand by the fact that Xbox dropped the ball massively by not promoting this game the way it should have been promoted.
But then weirdly, they came out and said it broke all these records, right, for Game Pass and stuff. So, like, it's a different world now. We're in this Game Pass era. of marketing, I guess. I don't know. Like, I agree with you. I don't think Microsoft pushed it hard enough, but people played it.
I just think if you've got a game like this on your system, or you see a studio like that, and if this is what they're going to be producing now, year on year on year, or free yearly, you know what I mean by that. I don't want to be the guy that's like, go buy them, but go get a second party exclusive deal with them the way PlayStation be playing, because we don't have games like this. This is what Game Pass is designed for. These 10 to 12 hour video games that are different. And whether you love, hate, or somewhere in between about High on Life, you cannot say that it is not a different experience than what you're having. And that's what intrigued me the most about it. It's different. It's telling stories in a different way. The jokes pay off in a different way. The world is different. Everything about it is just very, very, very different. And that's what I love about it. The fact that I can sit there and watch the entirety of Titanic through the game. Wild. Yeah. Not just that. Plenty of films. And that's what I mean by a living, breathing world as well. Like, no one told me to stand there and watch what the characters
where you would normally
on TV. You would just walk past it. You wouldn't think about it.
It breaks a lot of bounds that like games normally have, and they do it in really like creative ways that by the time they get to their third or fourth game, I wonder if they'll find new ways to break it, or we'll get to the point where it's like, okay, we've seen enough of this.
Yeah.
That we don't need it anymore.
Maybe they've got a full game running them. Maybe that's all they get.
Yeah. it'll be very interesting to see the studio's trajectory and learning how to adapt humor, because I don't think we've had a lot of studios like strictly focus on delivering us humor in games.
No.
That if they could really figure out a way to sort of workshop stuff and give us new and unique stuff in every game, it could be a very, very unique studio that would be really cool to see. If not Microsoft buy them, or Microsoft just work on exclusive games with them and give them a bigger budget for some of their titles.
Yeah, I think a bigger budget would be humongous. Again, I think the reason why this resonates with me so much as well is it is a dialogue-focused game. You know, there's no reading. There's no the
reading.
game is talking to me at all times. And again, for me, I think that's it's a respect thing. I think for me, where it's like I want to respect you as the player, and we want to entertain you, and that's why I'm enjoying it more, maybe more than most people. It's just I would have beat this game 100% if I had it on my Steam Deck. Which I know it came out on Steam, but I didn't have it on Steam, so I couldn't play it there. I played it on Game Pass, hence why I haven't beat it. Just so everyone's aware, I haven't beat it yet, but I 100% will. It's like I was playing it before we started the podcast. Once we finished, and I've finished some housework, I'll be going back to play it. I want to beat this game, and I just want to keep building this world. It's my let me keep going game. If I just had time to just keep going, you know. So yeah, number 2 for me, High on Life.
Crash, should we count down and say our number 2s together?
I don't. Is our number 2 gonna be the same?
Well, I think our number 1's gonna be the same. So I think
our number 1 for sure is the same. Our number 2.
All right, maybe it's not. Maybe
it might be the same. It might be the same, but I'm surprised that would make it to your number 2 if it's what I'm thinking it is.
Okay, well then I'll just go with my number 2. My number 2 is Tunic.
Yeah, no.
Oh shit! Okay,
not
never
the
mind.
Same.
Never mind then. Tunic's phenomenal. Like my god, like the it's got all of the kind of wonder for me that Zelda Breath of the Wild had, with like this world that like is yours to figure out, and like the way that it does that by giving you this manual that you don't understand until you start doing stuff, and then the moment I got a page in that manual and I was like, I could have done this really significant thing from the first second of this game, but I didn't know, and now it unlocks a whole new. I can go back to everywhere I've been and do this thing, and it's going to unlock loads of stuff, and like that is just fucking brilliant. And the way you have to like reference other pages of that manual, and every time you get another page of that manual, it's really exciting. It's such a good and interesting way to teach you how to play that game. And yeah, like I just loved it. And like Fix said earlier, it's visually absolutely stunning. And yeah, and I think the gameplay is super solid. Like as a like a really baked down Souls-like game in its combat. I loved every aspect of that game. It's absolutely stunning. And if you haven't played
Yeah,
it, played it.
That game unfortunately did not resonate with me super well.
Wow.
Like
Shocking.
a lot of the aspects you're talking about were like some of my most favorite. Like the manual thing, I think was so brilliant and so
Yeah.
well done. But the game itself, just I couldn't find myself wanting to play it, which was my issue with that game.
I think I now, because I think I came to it late, and I think I remember you playing it when it first came out and saying this, and so now this is jogging my memory a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm excited to find out what your number 2 is then.
My number 2 is Marvel Midnight Suns.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was.
But I'm the Marvel guy, and it didn't even make my list.
Yeah, I really enjoy this game. I think who's the studio that developed this? Fire Team.
Firaxis.
Firaxis, yeah, Firaxis.
Firaxis. There we go. Firaxis, like, absolutely. Like, I think they knocked it out of the park with a lot of the stuff for this game. Do I have some gripes with like the open world, like the world aspect of you like going around and doing these puzzle stuff? Yeah, some of it's not fully fluid, but just like playing this game, I found myself constantly wanting to go in and play and figure out how these characters work and what team comps work with what characters. It was just so enjoyable. I think the story was serviceable. The main character wasn't anything to like brag about, but that was never the focus of the game for me. It really was the strategy elements and sort of the managing my time of day and what am I going to do and what character do I want to upgrade my relationships with in the game. All of that just resonated super well with me.
I did not expect that to be number 2. I did
Me
not
neither.
expect
Really?
that. No.
So if you guys had to pick something, what did you guys think was going to be number 2 for me?
As we were going, I just assumed you had Tunic, but yeah.
No.
I don't know. I thought you
I don't
were
think there's
number
anything else
game.
in the year. No other big fighting games came out on Xbox.
Yeah,
this year.
I don't follow it. I just assumed it would be.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect that to resonate with you the way
Well,
it has.
Guilty
which is
Gear was
amazing.
almost the second.
Yeah.
The second spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're close to being
Gotcha.
right.
Okay. Let's do a couple more of these, which we've got Gobble Gobble Gobble. Get Stuffed, All the Trimmings. The game that left you feeling full, joyful, and satisfied. I can start if you want. Oh, Crash, go on.
Elden Ring.
Yeah, I was going to say Elden Ring. That was my instinct.
With how many side stuff to do by the time I got to the end of that, it was like, yeah, I've fully played this game.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I view this very differently. It's not like I just a satisfied meal is the way I've looked at it. Feeling full, yeah. The Quarry for me, it was like it was like a good meal. If you leave something on your plate, you know it was that much better because you couldn't fit it in, and that's how it felt for me with the
But-
Quarry, where I was like, what?
I think that's fair with the Quarry.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think you like
Yeah,
played
yeah.
everything. I think
Yeah.
it's just like you played everything available in the
Yeah,
game. There was
exactly.
No, like, sort
From
of,
start to finish, I played everything that I wanted, and I got out what I wanted from the experience. So
Yeah,
I'd
I think that's fair.
I'd go with the Quarry. One more we got here, which is boil them, smash them, put them in the stew. This game, this is the game that you'd recommend to the Potato Squad. Road 76. If you haven't played that,
Yeah,
96.
Road 96, right?
sorry,
96.
Road. Sorry, yeah. If you haven't played that,
You don't even
100
like this game.
I know, I
Fitz.
hate it. I wasn't telling you lot on the podcast a year ago to play it or nothing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
even came on there. It was like a Switch game, a PC game. Like, guys,
Yeah.
like you have to play this. Yeah, I think that's like the number one recommendation for me. If you didn't play that this year and you've got Game Pass and you enjoy narratively emotional games, not like crazy emotional, but like emotional enough that this. In all ways, I think it's quite funny in some moments. I think it's quite serious in some moments. I think it's quite emotional in terms of the way it goes. Yeah, for me, it was is my number one recommendation game. I think.
I think mine's Signalis as like a real proper old school survival horror game. If
I need
that
to
sounds
play
like
this.
that's your alley, you really do fix.
Yeah, I
if
need
it
to
sounds
play
like it's up your alley, get on it. Yeah, good puzzles, good world, cool, interesting stuff going on, and actually genuinely scary, like combat and stuff.
Crash.
I'm gonna go with Marvel Midnight Sun. I think the game got under talked about. I think it is a fantastic strategy game. I think I never expected it to be this good using an IP because I've talked about Gears of War and my issue with Gears of War, but the way they structured this game was so different, but they kept a lot of the same stuff that makes me love these sorts of games, and they made a card system completely work. I think that if you're into strategy games like that, but this game is absolutely worth playing.
Okay. Well, I'll start off with my game of the year this year because we both know what yours is already. Do you know what mine is?
No.
I have absolutely no clue, bro.
No, I don't.
Crisis Core is my game of the year. 100%. Crash is annoyed again. I don't know why I keep annoying.
I'm not annoyed about this.
Oh, what's wrong?
I'm not annoyed. I was just like, I was a little surprised that it's number one.
Anything that allows me to stay in the Final Fantasy VII world and keep building upon this story and lore that I don't know is huge for me. And once again, this game has allowed me to experience more Final Fantasy in a way that I want to, in a fun, enjoyable way. I get to learn more about these characters that I actively care about. That I remember years ago, like, you got to think, I've been doing this podcast a long time, like I say, like, I remember just being on this podcast, but like, why do people care? Why do people care about Final Fantasy the way they do? It doesn't make sense to me, because it literally didn't make sense to me. I couldn't read it. And now we're getting games like Final Fantasy VII Remake and obviously Crisis Core Remake as well. And for me, it's that new experience. It's graphically very pretty in certain moments. Its narrative is very good in certain moments. Its gameplay, again, I just didn't expect the gameplay. Gameplay in this game, very simple. Very, 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 very simple, but very enjoyable. Whenever you get it right, it just feels good. Seeing summons, beating up summons, doing these missions, learning more about the world. Yeah, man, it's such a good game, such a fun world to be in. And I'll be honest, I think I might take up Kresh's suggestion and just play OG Final Fantasy VII at this point, because I want to experience this story and then be able to experience it again when it comes around for the remake part 2. So yeah,
I think some of the changes that they like sort of implied with the first game also have a bigger impact having played the first one and from having played the original and looking at what they've shown so far for the next one. That experience will be like even more apparent in that one. So I definitely think anybody who hasn't played the original but enjoys the remake, that if you can, and I know it's a very different game, so if it's not your thing, it's not your thing, but you try and play the original.
Do you know what I think it is as well? It's like a book. Like, I could probably go back and watch Harry Potter. I read Harry Potter now because in my head I know what Harry Potter is supposed to look like.
Yeah, you can fill
Very
in some
much
gaps.
now with Final Fantasy. Not that I didn't love the way it looked back then, but the sprites and things like that, it didn't get me the way I wanted it to. Right now,
Yeah.
I know what Sephiroth looks like. I know what he's supposed to look like. I know what Cloud's meant to look like. I know what all these amazing characters are supposed to look like, and I've heard their voices as well. So I can fill that gap in now a little bit easier than I could before. Plus, I can read a lot more now than I could previously, which definitely helps. So yeah, but that's why it's my game of the year. It's a lot of fun. I didn't expect it to be my game of the year, I'll be honest with you. But it's one of those experiences that I'm enjoying, I keep enjoying, and I'm going to keep on enjoying for years to come.
You know what's crazy, Fix? That's my game of the year as well. That's my number one slotted game.
Wild. Didn't even
And
make the
me.
list.
I will be honest, I did not play it this year.
Yeah.
So that's probably why it more than likely would have ended up somewhere on my list, but I just didn't find the time to play it, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I'm glad that you ended up liking it as much as you did.
I'm just happy to say I'm a Final Fantasy fan.
We'll see after
Nah.
Final Fantasy 16 comes
Nah.
out.
Nah, I might have to caveat that with I'm a Final Fantasy VII World Final Fantasy fan, but
Yeah.
I'm a Final Fantasy fan at this moment in time, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Go on then, nerds. Nerd off.
It's number Elden Ring, of course, right?
Correct answer to this question. It's Elden Ring. Yes.
Number
of course.
5. You disgust me, Fix.
Unbelievable.
How much would you hate me if I put it number 1?
Oh, bro, I would have blown a fuse, bro. I would have been so furious because I wouldn't have understood it at all.
You don't understand
If
it
ended
now,
up number
but
one.
there's
No.
a method to the madness.
It's your list. I can't beat you over the head for your list. You like what you like. You put it where you put it. You know.
I like it.
Yeah. What more can we say about Elden Ring that we haven't spoken of? Like that game is just so good from start to finish, and how much breadth of stuff you can do in that game that you don't have to do, and it's sort of in the eye of the beholder. Do you explore that? Do you even interact with that? Because there's some stuff that you can.
When you pick up that
completely
porno magazine and start reading it, it's like, wow,
Yes.
that game's
Crazy.
crazy, bro.
That's why I stopped playing. He got stuck on the porno magazine.
I
He's
got
like,
stuck
every
on the
time I load
porn.
up this game,
That's fair.
I'm busy
fair.
and it's not playing the game.
Wild.
I think as well, like it had a hard kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It had some things going against it in that, like, it was so hyped, and like it's difficult for a game that is so anticipated that people already think is going to be the best game ever to then come out and still please the fans, right? And not just get nitpicked to shit.
And it had George R.R. Martin writing the backstory for it, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's going to be either it's not going to be like that impactful, and it's not going to be that great." But I think a lot of what that world ends up being also rides off the back of the backstory that George R.R. Martin sort of set up for that game, and then I think Miyazaki and the team from Software brilliantly built out onto it and adding their own sort of view onto that world, and it's just fantastic from top to bottom.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And, you know, relatively recently, I had a friend who is not so much into Souls games, and he gave me a text and was like, "Hey, can you come over and walk me through the first few hours so I can try and get into this?" And immediately then I was like, "Fuck, I need to pick this game back. Like, I need to play this again. Like, I so want to jump back in and play it again." And I would love to play it like co-op as well, because like I want to jump back in and play it again, not for the difficulty or the grind, but for the like experimentation of like trying weapons out that I didn't have a chance to in my first run and stuff like that. So I would love to do that.
What's that face fix?
No, not me. Not me.
You
Please,
got
not me.
a lot you want to say there. Yeah, we're gonna run through a call with you, Fix.
Yeah, let's do it.
You can't do it all three of us, though, can we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we get how close? What's our next milestone for subscribers? It's 10,000, right?
10,000? Jesus Christ.
we get-
we're not even at 2,000.
I don't know where we're at. We're not. Whatever the subscriber goal is, I forgot. It's 1,400, isn't it? 1,400, 1,500.
We need 2K now. We're on the road to 2K.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up right now. I want the closest one available.
It's close to 2K.
no.
We got to hit 2K. Yeah, that's what we got to
If
hit.
we get
Falling down
2K, I don't know why I said 10,000. If we get to 2K, I skipped so many steps. If we get to 2K in the next 3 weeks, Fix will.
Don't worry about it.
We will be doing
At least
Ring
one
live streams
stream.
with Fix. At least one stream.
We
And then
will
if we get
start it.
another 2K after that, another stream, and then every 2K in perpetuity until the end of time, we will get another Elden Ring stream from Fix. Right?
I'm not agreeing to that.
Fix agreed. Don't worry about it.
I'm not agreeing to that. This show's already gone long, boys. So we're not. I think we're going to save our top 10 for next week's topic of the show. Our top 5 for next week's
cool.
topic of the show.
Okay.
I mean, it's been a great year in gaming. If you look along our list, you can't sit there and say there hasn't been at least 10 great games. Very different lists, very similar lists in certain ways as well, I guess.
Sure.
Shout out to Origin Cookie Man for the great categories. I thought that was a great addition to this year's
It was good.
Game of the Year lists. Again, email in my Xbox and Me podcast at gmail.com. Sorry about me speaking today. It's been very bad, apparently. I think I'm rusty. I'm not going to lie. I feel like we haven't
You
done
took
this
that
in a
break.
while. Yeah.
I'll be honest. When we recorded last week, I felt very rusty as we were recording the podcast because we hadn't obviously
2 week
done
break
it for a while.
Or a week
yeah.
break, but yeah. But yeah, keep supporting. Obviously, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go and hit the like button. Drop a comment. Let us know your game of the years over in the Discord. We have the official My Xbox and Me Discord now, so feel free to go join that. We're still building it out, so go and drop some questions there. You can still ask questions in the MC Fixer one, but there is a separate Discord for that. Matt and Christian are going to do dinner now, which is nice for them. They're going to hug. They're going to meet IRL for the first time. Look how happy Matt is. I love that.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, good. And yeah, man. Crash, we got to plug this week.
Twitter, my Twitter account. You can go on there, and I'm gonna post a picture of me and Matt on a dinner date before getting to do a dinner date with Fix.
I respect that. A nice little selfie. I respect it. Big respect.
It's coming, guys. It's coming.
Matt, what about you? We got to plug.
You got to subscribe to the YouTube so that we all end up playing Elden Ring together, guys. It's on you now. The ball's in your court, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
If you don't go and make extra accounts to make this happen,
Shame
What
on
are
you.
you doing?
can you even call yourself a real My Xbox and Me fan? You can follow me everywhere at MC Fixer. More music coming this year. I am now officially whitelisted. My Twitch channel has absolutely exploded. But I am looking to do some more streams over on the My Xbox and Me channel. So yeah, definitely hit the subscribe button, turn notifications on, because the reason I don't like subscribing on the My Xbox and Me channel is obviously because there isn't as many people there watching. So
You mean streaming?
Streaming, sorry, yeah. So, you know, even if we just got our core people that are going to come through every week, I'm cool with that. But we need to build that core, you know? So make sure you subscribe, turn the notifications on. And until next time, we will love you, leave you, and see you later. Good boys!
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good boy.